feel that somebody is going to rob me.
Yes.
And I have a feeling that they're outside.
Yes.
How does that reality, I mean, I understand your concept of creating.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
And how do I deal with that?
Thank you. Well, there are any number of ways. First of all, yes, you can acknowledge that you may still be creating an earth reality where for a while you will still agree to experience that some people on your planet behave within their integrity and some people behave without integrity. So you may still experience on your planet for a while that there are people who act in a negative way. All right? All right. Now, just the fact that you recognize that doesn't mean in and of itself that anything has to affect you in a negative way. So the first thing to realize is that just because you know there are people on your planet and in your reality that still may have a negative intention doesn't mean you have to be affected by them in a negative way. The recognition of their existence is not the attraction of interacting with them in a negative way. Does that make sense, first of all?
Sure.
All right. So, one way of looking at it can simply be, yes, I recognize that in the earth I'm co-creating and agreeing to create right now. I recognize that I am willing to allow that there are people who function in a negative way. But you don't have to attract them to you. And if you do, you can still recognize that even though they may be operating out of a negative intention, their negative intention doesn't have to impact you negatively no matter what happens. If you know that no matter what happens, it's only going to affect your life in a positive way, then you will only get a positive effect from it no matter what their behavior was. I'll give you a physical, real-world example. Shall I?
Great.
We always like to, shall we say, ground these things in your actual human experiences so that you understand we're not just talking about what you call airy-fairy concepts that have no basis in your physical reality. So, this happened to a real individual on your planet. They were, in having just gotten a brand new automobile, looking to get a very expensive audio system for their car because they loved music and loved to hear it on a very good system. Now, they could not afford the system they actually wanted, the system that they were really passionate about. So they did the next thing they could. They got the system that they could afford that was as close as possible to what they could listen to that music on. It was the best thing they could do. You follow me? Yes. Now, within a week, the car was broken into and that radio was stolen. All right. Now, this person knew enough to know, all right, I understand that I attracted that into my life, number one. But I also understand that I must have attracted that into my life for a positive reason, even though the person who did this, the person who stole it, may have been operating from outside their integrity, from a negative energy. That does not in any way, shape, or form have to affect me in a negative way. They knew that, and they stayed in that vibration. Now, what they did then is they got what you call on your planet the insurance claim, because not only had the radio been stolen, but some damage had been done to the console around the radio in extracting it from the dashboard. So they got an amount of money that was equal to replacing the radio they had and also fixing the damaged dashboard. So they went to the auto repair shop. Once they got to the auto repair shop, the auto repair person said, you know, the damage to the dashboard is actually not as bad as you think. It's not as bad as you think it looks. And they simply took a heat gun and were able to heat up the section, and it allowed the plastic to snap right back into shape. So they didn't have to charge him for really repairing the dashboard. So since they did that easily and for free, the person is now standing there with the insurance money that is now equal in amount to the new radio they actually wanted to begin with. So they went out and died. You see? So even though they were the quote-unquote victim of a crime, they did not go into victim energy and thus were able to actually use someone else's negative intention to springboard them into what was actually their positive desire to begin with, to have the highest quality radio system, and that thief actually helped him get it without even knowing it. Does that help illustrate the point?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. State of being. Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. And I understand. Some of you may feel that you need to practice this, but that's all right. That's what this is all about. Just remember, circumstances don't matter. Only your state of being does. That's the only thing that's real. Circumstances are an illusion. Circumstances don't create your state of being. Only your state of being is real. It is state of being that creates your circumstances. So no matter how the circumstances appear, that's just an illusion. It's the state of being you choose to stay in that determines how you will experience the illusionary circumstances. Make sense? State of being matters, not the circumstances. Proceed.
I'm thrilled to be here with you today, Bashar.
We are thrilled that you are there.
I will take that last question and make it into a question of my own.
Oh, all right, please do.
I am going through a personal determination of what my personal responsibility is.
In what circumstance?
Towards life.
Towards life?
And
what your personal responsibility is in life?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
And I do acknowledge that my state of being and a continuous joyous state of being is my optimum state of being.
All right. Thank you for acknowledging that. Is there a but coming up?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
I do, however, find that there is at times a discrepancy between a lack of responsibility and denial towards what is, and whether I need to at times detach from certain things.
Well, yes and no. There is a way to detach with ownership of what is important to own. In fact, paradoxically, by owning, you actually detach more efficiently. Would you like me to explain that?
Please do.
All right. I'll sum it up in one sentence. You cannot change what you do not own. Do you understand that concept?
Very well.
All right. If you are willing to take responsibility for your part in any creation, and that doesn't mean blame, you understand? You understand?
Correct, yes.
Responsibility. Your ability to respond from your truth to the situation, to define your accurate and true relationship to that situation. If you're willing to take responsibility for your part in the co-creation, then the second you own what is, you are automatically detached from its effect. And you can determine what effect it will have. It's the ability to allow for neutrality and not automatically and unconsciously assign meaning to the circumstance, because it is the meaning you assign that determines the effect that you get. All situations are fundamentally without meaning. The greatest gift you have been given is that life is meaningless. And I mean that in the most positive way. Life is meaningless. There is no built-in meaning to it at all. It is completely neutral, devoid of meaning. It's just a set of props. When something happens, there is no meaning to that thing. You have been taught to give it meaning. The instant you put meaning into something, that determines how you feel about it. That determines its effect. So when you prefer to have a positive effect from something, you must be responsible in life to take a moment, step back and say, all right, wait a minute, pause. This does not mean anything at the moment. It has no meaning of its own. I'm giving it all the meaning that I'm feeling. Would I prefer to give it a different meaning? Yes, I would. Well, what meaning would I prefer to give it? Well, I prefer to give it this meaning. Even if it's general, you can give it a positive general meaning. You may not intellectually understand all the details of exactly how it might serve you in a positive way, as based on the illustration I already gave about the radio, but as long as you stay in the proper state that gives it positive meaning in general, then you will allow it to work its magic and give you a positive effect, even if you're not intellectually aware of how that might be possible. Because you don't have to be aware of how that might be possible. You know why you don't have to be aware of how it might be possible?
Because I create it.
Yes, but also because your physical mind, and I'm telling you this again in a positive way, physical mind, I don't just mean you personally, I mean all of you. Physical mind is not designed to understand how something will happen. Physical mind is only designed to know how something happened. Past tense. You are not designed to understand how it's going to give you a positive effect. All you have to do is know that it will. It is the higher mind that knows how it will do that. The physical mind's responsibility is just to experience what has already happened, not to decide how that's possible. Only the higher mind is capable of knowing how it's possible. That's why you have to work in concert with the higher mind and let the higher mind do its job and stop making the physical mind think that it has to do the higher mind's job by figuring out how everything is supposed to get done. Physical mind is not designed to know those things. Never was, never will be. Is this making some sense?
Real good sense. Thank you.
Is this helping?
Very much so.
Is there some other more detailed avenue down which you wish to walk with this concept, or do you find that you can sit with this at the moment? It's up to you.
I just want to relate this back to the initial, what was the terminology, that the oversoul intention, or...
Well, again, the oversoul's intention is just the general theme that you may be exploring. How you choose to explore that theme is completely up to your physical free will, but you have to work in tandem with the higher mind, which is not the oversoul.
Okay, and that was my question.
Yes, that's not the oversoul.
How does the higher mind relate to the oversoul?
Higher mind is what carries the reminder of the oversoul's vibration for the physical mind.
And how does one best get in tune with their higher mind?
Ah, very good question. One word.
Don't think.
One word. Close, but more specific. Imagination. This is what the imagination actually is. Imagination is actually the conduit of communication between higher mind and physical mind. So all you have to do is use your imagination. What would you prefer this to mean? What would you prefer to be aligned with? How would you prefer to express yourself? How do you imagine you really see yourself? How do you imagine that you will follow your passion? How do you imagine you want to live your life? As soon as you imagine it, as soon as you see how you would prefer to be, all you have to do is recognize that that picture is the communication coming from your higher mind saying, if you, the physical person, mimic, mirror, and match that picture of your idealized state of being, then that will be the life you will have.
Am I correct then to assume that if I'm imagining and I'm in a joyous state, that I'm connected to my higher mind?
You are correct to assume. However, recognize you are always connected.
Well, in acknowledgement.
Thank you. You are aware of the connection in that state. You are never disconnected. It's not possible to be disconnected from it, but you can experience the experience of being disconnected.
I understand.
But there is a difference, and I know you understand it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I do have one question, Bashar.
Yes.
Okay, if everything that is being experienced on this earth.
Yes.
As extensions of one oversoul for this earth,
yes.
or for all the beings on this earth.
Yes. That's not to say there are not also smaller oversouls within that.
Okay.
There is a difference between what might be your specific oversoul and the oversoul of the earth. That's a different level.
Okay.
Go on.
Now, could these oversouls,
yes.
They are not always in concord with each other, so...
The oversouls are not always obviously the individualized extensions that you call physical people. They don't have to always seem to be in agreement, but on some level there is an agreement. That's why agreement can be found on the physical level by connecting through the higher mind to what the agreement is on the higher level. Then the physical minds can be in accord. But the reason that physical minds are in discord is because they're not connecting through to their higher agreements and recognizing them. Because if they did that, there would be no discord on the earth.
Okay. Now, going back to just a very simple question. What is happening right now on Earth, these wars, these are what we want to experience?
They are the result of what you choose to believe. It's not that you want to experience them, but if you feel that you choose to believe certain things, then those beliefs will result in those consequences. And so you could say, well, as long as you want to believe this, then yes, you obviously in some sense want that consequence. Otherwise, if you really, really, really didn't want that consequence, you wouldn't choose to believe in the things that deliver those consequences. So I understand you can sort of interchangeably use the word want that way, but I know that empirically you don't want that. But that will be the consequence of choosing to believe certain things, because everything that happens in your physical reality is based on what you believe to be true. Nothing happens without you defining something to be true. So as long as there is this effect called warfare, you can always trace it back to the idea that people believe that they have to believe certain things, that they want to believe certain things. But if they recognize that believing those things results in war, that should be the first sign that tells you that what you actually want to do is believe in something else. But as long as you continue to believe in those things, you will have that result. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? Not quite?
I'm sorry, no.
All right. Do you understand that everything that happens in your physical reality is the result of a belief? Yes. All right. So if you see that a belief creates a certain consequence, wouldn't you want to change that belief?
Yes.
In order to get a different consequence?
Yes.
So our question is, if you see that certain beliefs cause war, why aren't you changing those beliefs? That's the issue. So the issue is, if you're not changing the beliefs that create the consequence, there must be something about those beliefs where you have other beliefs that say you have to keep believing those things. But if you find out what the beliefs are that say you have to keep believing the things that cause the war and change those beliefs, then you will change these beliefs and you will not have war. So anytime you find that there is a consequence that leads back to a belief and you're not changing that belief, that tells you there's another belief that says that that belief shouldn't change. You have to find out what that belief is and change it. And if there's a belief that then says that shouldn't change, you have to find out what that belief is and change it. And go all the way into your true core and find out what the true first core belief is that leads to all the other beliefs that then cause these consequences you say you don't want. Does that make more sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's a matter of really investigating what the beliefs are, because you have created yourselves to be very layered, and you will have beliefs that are hidden from you. So until you are aware of what those beliefs are, you won't know how to let go of other beliefs that may be causing these things that you don't want. But they always come from belief. Always. That's the first thing that causes manifestation. You will never, ever, ever have a feeling or an emotion or a thought or a behavior about anything if you don't first believe something to be true about that thing. If you have no definition for a thing, you have absolutely no feeling or thought about it. You follow me?
Yes.
If I say, Kandu lak tashu boran taze, how do you feel about that?
Nothing.
Because you have no definition for it, do you?
Right.
All right, then. As soon as you apply a definition to it, you will start to engender feelings. If I say that the translation of that into your language is that we love you unconditionally every single day, then you start to have a feeling about it because you now have a definition, you see?
Yes.
That's as easy as it is. So anything you feel, trace it back to the belief you have about your relationship to that thing, because any feeling, any thought, and any behavior comes from how you define it, how you believe it to be true. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.